Today is the day of remembrance of our sweetest Dadi Gulsarji. And today we have received directions from Madhuban to about how to pay our wishes or our homage to Dadi. And when we follow the steps of Dadiji, then it would be said that we really paid our homage to Dadi. So today we will understand what Dadi's life and dharana was. Only one point we will understand, we'll do the rest manthan of today's Murli. And why I'm taking up that quality of Dadiji is because in the Vardhan today, in the blessing today also, the same is mentioned. Gulzar Dadiji had this very strong dharana that my sanskars are Baba's sanskars. So whatever is Baba's sanskar is mine. There is no difference. And Dadi used to say with great intoxication, when anybody used to ask Dadi, why Baba loves you so much? Then Dadi would say, because whatever is Baba's sanskar is my sanskar. And this is why Baba loves me very much. And just like Baba, you see, Baba spoke through Dadi's body, and we never felt that, there's a difference in sanskars. So, if when Bab Dada entered Dadi's body and spoke through Dadi, then the personality was very close to Dadi's personality when Dadi was on her own also. Yes, so Dadi had this quality that Dadi had become Bap Saman. So Dadi reflected the sanskars of Bap Dada. And today in the blessing also, Baba is saying that this Sangam Yug is not the yug for making effort. It is the yug it is the time. Baba says that the confluence age is the age of experiencing the reward, not the effort. Yes, and how many of you think that this is the age of experiencing the reward? Because mostly we think that it is the age for making effort. Yes, but Baba says, Baba is not talking about the reward of Satyug. So the reward of Satyug we will get in Satyug. But what is the reward of Sangam Yug? So in Sangam Yug, Baba has given us the reward that with one single determined thought, we can, experience that Baba's sanskars and Baba's stage are my stage and my sanskars. So you see, in this Sangam Yug, we have the knowledge, we have the intoxication that I am Baba's child. Yes, and in no other yuga, we will have this intoxication that I am God's child. Yes, in Satyug, we will have the intoxication that I am a deity child. I belong to the deity clan. And from the copper age, we never think I'm God's child, We always think that God is God and we are, very mere. So we are very lowly, and we think about ourselves as Bhagats and God as Bhagwan. So Bhagat is very low compared to Bhagwan. That is what we think in Bhakti. And that is why our consciousness is very low. Our sense of self is very low. And when that is so low, we are not able to, it is impossible to have virtues and powers. And Baba says that in this, when Baba comes, the most important knowledge that Baba gives us is, you are my children. You are just like me. So whatever is my sanskar is yours. Whatever is my stage is yours. Yes, and this is very new knowledge, because we never knew that we are God's children and we are made in His image. Although we have heard this, that man is made in the image of God, we never had the intoxication that my sanskars are just like my Baba's sanskars. And you see, a child in the world also, a child has the intoxication that I'm just like my parents. Have you seen when parents are sitting in a certain way, then children also sit like that. And when they are talking in a certain way, they also talk like that. And they have this intoxication that whatever are my parents' sanskars are mine. And then whatever my parents can do, I can also do. Yes, so they have this, no parent needs to tell the child. And I always think that, these days, um, uh, because children, earlier, children used to be with parents all the time. So earlier, parents were the world of children. But these days, even children have very less contact with parents. And that is why, this sanskars that they should imbibe from parents are also not getting imbibed very well. And I was just some days back, I was thinking about the amount of time we used to spend with our worldly parents, and the amount of time that today's children spend with their parents. There's a lot of difference, and that is why we were very much like our parents. So, if parents are disciplined, we were also disciplined. If they were punctual, we were also punctual. And whatever parents could do, we could also do, because we were doing it with them. So nobody asked us, where did you learn cooking, or where did you learn, certain anything that your father did, because we used to be with them. So we used to learn that automatically. And nowadays people are going for cooking courses and MBAs. Although the father is a businessman, they don't know how to be a businessman, because that amount of time they are not spending with parents. And Baba says that we have this intoxication now that Baba is my parent. And then with that intoxication, I know that Baba's sanskars are mine and Baba's stage is mine. But then how will we become an embodiment of those sanskars? Yes, so today Baba is also making a distinction that children have intoxication, yes, but they don't have that qualification. That also Baba is underlining today. So having intoxication is one thing, and having qualification is another thing. And having intoxication requires knowledge, and having qualification requires effort. When I know that I'm Baba's child, it gives instant intoxication. Yes, but that intoxication will fizzle out if I don't make the effort and I don't create that personality which is in alignment with that intoxication. And what is the method to have this quality of being like Baba. So the method is, today Baba is underlining very deeply constant remembrance. Constant remembrance is the only method. So the only way to become like Baba is to remember Baba constantly. And you see, Baba has been underlining this effort of constant remembrance all the time. Every day in the Murli, Baba underlines it. But Baba says that many children, they don't pay attention to Baba's remembrance, and let alone constant remembrance, not even remembrance. But they just say, they just say, I belong to Baba anyway. Yes, I'm anyways Baba's. But belonging to Baba is not like belonging to some human being. So Baba is incorporeal, and you can physically belong to some human being. Yes, but so with a human being, you can tie the knot. Yes, you can sign papers, you can have a contract, but you can't do all of that with Baba. And I was today thinking that when in the physical world, belonging to human beings is so easy. Yes, because you can just physically belong to somebody by signing a contract called the marriage, or having a certificate, or just tying the knot, and then it's that's done. But how do you tie the knot with Baba? How do you hold Baba's hand? How do you hold the hand of the incorporeal? How do you belong to the incorporeal? Because there are no physical methods to do that. And Baba says, you belong to me only when you constantly remember me. And Baba says that whenever you are not in remembrance of me, you belong to Maya. Yes, because you have belonged to Maya for 63 births. So the method to belong to Baba, so have this link of your buddhi with Baba all the time. That is what belonging to Baba is like. And Baba today says that, children have this swaman, that we are gopis. But the sign of gopis is super sensuous joy. Now children say we are gopis. Now you see this this yadgar, or this memorial of gopis in the Shastras is very beautiful. Who were gopis? They were not some sadhus or ascetics. Yes, who were they? They were very ordinary people living in households. And what made them gopis was they were smitten by God. So that God is depicted as corporeal, and God is depicted as Sri Krishna in the Shastras, and they had their heart for Sri Krishna. And that is the memorial of gopis. And Baba says, and then the memorial also says that Sri Krishna uplifted the Govardhan Parvat with the help of the gopis. And Baba says all that is a memorial of this time. And that Govardhan Parvat is a symbol of Kali Yuga. And I am uplifting this Kali Yugi mountain with your hand, with your support. And I am incorporeal Shiv Baba. And you as gopis, what should you do? You should remember me constantly. And when you remember me constantly, then the sign will be super sensuous joy. Yes. Do you have super sensuous joy all the time? Yes. So Baba says, why does that qualification of super sensuous joy not show in us? Because Baba says you don't constantly remember me, and that's why you make mistakes. And when you make mistakes, you commit sinful actions, then because of that, you lose your happiness. Yes, and why do we make mistakes? Why don't we remember Baba? Because the first condition for remembering Baba is being soul conscious. Okay, and we are body conscious. We have been body conscious for 63 births. And when we are soul conscious, we will remember Baba, because Baba is the only one for the soul. Yes, it is very difficult to remember him all the while because we are body conscious. Yes, and when we are soul conscious, we only remember Baba. Have you noticed this? That is the key. So the challenge is not remembering Baba. The challenge is being soul conscious. And Baba says, when you're body conscious, your intellect is pulled by matters of this world, people, places, things, desires, everything of this world. Yes, and this is why we are not able to remember Baba. We are not able to feel the super sensuous joy of Sangam Yug. And we are not able to become Bap Saman. And Baba says that you have to make effort to become soul conscious. Because you see, body consciousness is a sanskar, very deep sanskar right now. And what happens is, every time we are body conscious, our intellect is pulled by this world, and then what do? We come into reaction. Yes, so we react because when we are attached to the body, to the relationships, to the attainments, to the name, fame of this world, to the ego that we have created, then because the drama is, or the law is, everything will change. So whenever there is any change, then we come into either fear or anger, and then we start reacting through thoughts, words, and deeds. And that is how we create vikarma. So this is how body consciousness is pulling us. I remember there was this one brother, and when the child refused to listen to him, then he beat up the child. And then I asked him, why did you beat him up? So he said he refused to listen to me. And then I asked him, so did he listen to you after you beat him up? So he said, no. So I said, then why did you beat him up? Yes. So the thing is, you cannot handle change. And this body consciousness makes us very aversive to change. We want everything to be our way. We want the health to be our way. We want the people to be our way. We want, the events to be our way. Everything should be according to my idea of happiness and sorrow, my idea of success and failure. But that's not the truth. And that can never be. So in body consciousness, you become so, what do you say? You become so connected, or you become so attached to everything of the external world that any change in that brings a reaction in you. And in that reaction, you take sorrow, you give sorrow, you do any sinful action, and you are not even, you don't even, you don't even become aware at that time. And this is how pap karma happens. And another thing about body consciousness is desires. Yes, one is reactions, and then when you identify with this physical world, then there is this desire to have someone, have something. And then this desire also makes you cross many lines. And this desire makes you commit many sins. Yes, and you see, if there's a desire for something, then that desire may even make you steal. Yes, it could be a very harmless looking desire of eating something. Yes, and then you are, so even when we are children, when the mother says, you don't have to eat this until I permit you to, or this is made for guests and don't have it. And then what do we do? We steal. Without information, you just go and have it. And this is what desire makes you do. And the desire for, you see, this whole world, why are people committing sins? Why is all this theft and exploitation and murder and everything happening? Because everybody is full of desire. And you think that, if this thing happened, then I would get this. And desires have no limits. Even those people who apparently have fulfilled all desires, they have this desire to be immortal. And they're sucking other people's blood to get immortal. Yes, so just think about this body consciousness and desires. And this desire can make you stoop very low. It can make you, I have seen people, there was this one girl, she worked in an office, and she was not in Gyan. She just came and she was telling her story. So she said that I had this desire to board a plane. I had never flown on an airplane. And my boss, he told me that I will make you, what is an airplane? I just expressed that desire in front of him. And he said, what is so big in that? I will make you board a plane. And then I just blindly started following whatever he said. And then he started taking me on tours and here and there. And slowly I didn't realize what I had become. And then when I realized, it was too late, because he had made me a partner in many, because she was not allowed to travel. So he had made me a partner in many wrongdoings because my name was there. And then if I spoke against him, then I would also be caught and there would be a case against me. So then I didn't know what to do, where to go. And it was a permanent job. I couldn't leave it. And it became so messed up and so dirty. And what? For that desire to board a plane? So Baba says, one is attachment to what is, and another is desire to have what I don't have. Yes, and if you look at, I remember when we were in college studying economics, then we used to study about this demonstration effect. So this demonstration effect, where you are watching television, and these days there is internet and everybody's flaunting everything, and then you watch all of that, and then there are subtle desires to be loved, to be cared, to be provided, to be to have a certain luxury, a certain kind of a lifestyle, and all these desires you're feeding constantly. And then that attachment, which is so deep, which doesn't allow you to accept any change in you want everybody and everything to be exactly as you want them to be, and continue the way you want it to continue. Yes, I have seen people that they are so attached to their idea of dressing and eating and, their room setting, that anything that goes different from that, they just react badly. I saw one time there was this one lady beating up the servant badly. For what? For not putting the bed sheet that she had instructed him to put on the bed, and putting up a different bed sheet. And she just thrashed the servant. And then she said, guests were coming and I just told you and you put the wrong one. And now, what about my respect, and what would they think? And this is the kind of reactions we have. And Baba says that we are doing all of this, and then this is creating vikarma. Even when some people, they are not doing it in action, but even at the level of thought, if there's a desire, then there's always discontentment. If there is attachment, then there is always this complaint and subtle anger going on. Because when your idea of things is not materializing, then there is an anger that's there. Yes, or there's a fear, constant fear, and fear-based thinking is there. Yes, why are you so afraid of, when there is this news about war, and then, in yesterday there was this news about India also getting affected, some things in India also changing because of the war. But why is there this disturbance inside? Because of attachment. You are attached to the way things are. Yes, you are attached to a certain way of living and a certain way of doing things, and you resist change. And Baba says that whatever changes outside, the fact that I am with you will not change. So when I am with you, we will deal with it together. Why are you worried? Why are you in fear? Yes, and then somebody yesterday told that, what if, there's no gas supply, and what if this happens and that happens? So I said, no problem. My Baba is feeding me today. My Baba will feed me tomorrow. And if my Baba decides to take me, I'm ready to go also. What's the big deal? It's okay. But all of these fears and worries and anger and being upset and, I want this, all these unsettling thoughts, why are they coming? Because of body consciousness. And then Baba says that, there are moments when you realize it. But if you don't realize what you're doing inside, and most children, they are not remembering Baba, and they don't even realize they are not remembering Baba. Yes, because they say, I belong to Baba anyway. But then if you just stopped and checked, how many sins are you committing? Subtle and gross, and how much, because when there is no remembrance, there are so many mistakes that we are making. And Baba says, all these account of sin, you have to be very honest with Baba, and you have to check and surrender to Baba. And why does Baba say, be honest with me, submit your chart? Because Baba wants us to check. And Baba says, just give your chart to me through the corporeal instrument that I have given you. Because, when the corporeal instrument also sees the mistakes that you're making, then you will receive some directions. You will receive some help. But most children, they just, they are just using that Sangam Yugi time like that. And Baba says this has to change. Now we have to start checking ourselves and surrendering honestly to Baba, receive directions, and then, change that. Because otherwise, in Sangam Yug, no super sensuous joy and no sanskar parivartan, and then how will we become self-sovereign in Satyug? And then Baba also talks about, there are some children who don't take directions. Yes, so even if you're doing some seva, so what Baba is saying, that this is also a form of dishonesty. When you don't have a close connection with the corporeal instrument, you don't ask for directions, you don't share, that's also dishonesty. So Baba says, ask. Baba says, if somebody has written a letter or an email, there are some who wouldn't ask what reply should we give or how should we answer this. So why? Because there is no honesty, there is no transparency, there is no relationship. These are very subtle signs. And this is all body consciousness. What would they think? What if they scolded me? What if they said, can't you do this much? So why are you thinking what they would think? Yes, so let them think what they would think. You have to do what Baba asks you to do. And then Baba also talks about there are some children who don't, who don't submit their, whatever they got from their worldly home, they wouldn't tell Baba. And they wouldn't receive directions about it. Baba says, no, that's not okay. When you get something from the worldly home, you have to give it to Baba first and then take it from Baba. Or, you have to take directions. And if Baba says you use it on your own, then it's okay. But without taking directions, if you do it, then that's dishonesty. So Baba is talking about honesty in many ways. And that honesty has to be there, otherwise there will be no change. And Baba says only when you're honest, you submit everything honestly, then you receive directions, then you can overcome the mistakes. And I don't know how many of you have experienced it, but if you surrender with your whole heart, any mistake that you're making, then you receive the power to change that. This act of surrendering to Baba, that Baba, body consciousness is making me make this mistake. This act of giving it honestly to Baba is a very powerful act. And it really helps you to overcome that mistake. So this is what Baba is saying today. Om Shanti. Anybody wants to share anything, please do.
Om Shanti.
Hanji.
Didi, thank you, Vandaben. I would like to share something. You right now, you said that Baba would say, why are you worried? Am I not weak? Despite anything happening, am I not with you? The same thing, Didi, happened with me. Yesterday, entire day I was entangled in a situation, and I was so disturbed with that, that it even affected my physical health. I just spoke to people for this, like how to get out of this situation, and then uh, everything like was sorted. But I was the entire day I was very disturbed, and then at night when I was being with Baba, I was sitting with Baba, and I was just speaking to him, and he just said the same thing, that have I not showed it to you that I can pull you out of any kind of situation? Then why is there a lack of trust every time? Why do you have to go to people and not just me? So, Didi, that was so like it just came out at the same, like today itself. You just say the same thing, so that reinforces that. But it happens, Didi, that we get so entangled that we just forget like who is not there in between us. We don't see the body, and we just forget that he is really there, and he has shown n number of times that despite of whatever might be happening, whatever be the situation, wherever I might be, but and there are people who just remind me that he is there, who is not even VK. They will remind me that he is there to pull you out. Don't you trust him?
Right.
So yes, I need to work on that, Didi. I don't know how to do that. When I come to my senses, when I like after hours together, I remember that I had to do this and I did not do it.
To practice soul consciousness, that's the method. Come back again and again, forget the body, sit in soul consciousness. Even while you're working, doing something, remember, I, the soul, am doing it through the body. I'm seeing it through the eyes, I'm hearing through the ears. Practice this. And this is what will make your, remembrance of Baba very continuous and constant. And you will feel that, then worry will not enter. Because when you are experiencing the company and canopy of Baba, then worry doesn't enter in that. Okay? Om Shanti. Hanji.
Om Shanti.
Om Shanti.
Earlier, we remembered Baba in whole consciousness, and we were not aware that soul consciousness is required first for remembrance. Then we started practice soul consciousness. Then we came to know that practicing Shrimat is actually soul consciousness. Actions will be aligned with that soul consciousness. But later on, I discovered that. In mind, I am thinking I am soul, but my actions are switching. And I am looking like that detailed observer. I'm also seeing my sanskars. And earlier it gave me very much stress. And but still I kept my patience and understood that yoga bal more and more is required. But only then it will be aligned in actions.
Correct.
And sometimes I notice myself that knowingly I am switching to have some other mindset for enjoyment. But inside I am aware that I have not to engage too much or involve in this. And this is the problem right now I'm facing.
That's okay. You see, whatever you're going through is a stage which everyone has to cross. So you are also crossing it, and then you will cross it, and then you'll go to the next stage. That's okay.
I would second Vanda when that we know at times we know what we have to do, and we also remember what is Baba's Srimad. We also know that we do remember I'm a soul, but then also knowingly certain actions happen. We know we don't have to do, but then also it happens. So in that case, how to change our actions?
Yeah, exactly.
No, you see, then you have to see, you have to understand one thing. That's your stage right now. Yes, then you have to again sit with yourself, use your intellect, and make a decision that I don't want to be this person any longer. I want to change this. And every time you make a decision, slowly, gradually, that decision will come into play. Because, that decision, because ultimately it's all about the decision you make about who you want to become. Yes, who do you want to become ultimately? That's a decision you have to make. Because sometimes, we inside, if you check, the decision is, okay, I want to belong to Baba, but I don't want to, just make my life dry and this and that. And I want to balance. And then we have a wrong idea of balance. And these are things we are doing to ourselves, and we are pretty aware. So then it requires a decision that now I want to go to this stage. I want to be this person. And then with that resolute, determined thought, other things will follow. Okay. Om Shanti.